looked at all the things that we wanted to do from an X guard, all right? Whether it be sweeping our partner, entering into the legs, moving to a scorpion. Now let's talk about what we're going to do if our partner does actually successfully counter my X guard and go into a back step. Now this kind of borders on the line of like a guard retention, which is what we're not really doing right now, but there are some follow-ups that we can do preemptively to stop our partner getting completely past our legs, having to just go into a full escape from there. All right, so we're going to start off now with an Ashigarami X guard, where we have an Ashi X with an Achilles grip. Now, let's say our partner does go in, V grip my ankle, and looks to start backstepping. Whenever I see this, as she goes to backstep, what I have to make sure of is that she doesn't get her knee in front of my thigh, because now you kind of beat from here. All right. So the second she goes to backstep, I immediately take my left foot, and what I can't do is try to fire it in towards her body. Okay. If she goes to make a strong grip of me, and I'll never be able to come up anywhere in this vicinity here. But what I can always do is I can strip the grip by extending my leg out and away, like so. So first, you have to go in the direction which is the opposite of where you really want to go. The main temptation is always to try to fight and to get your legs back in front of your partner. But you can't do that with this V grip here. So you have to go away from the grip first, and now as she goes to backstep, we fire our leg up and over, and we move into an outside Ashigarami, so that as she goes to backstep, her shoulders come up over her hips, and she leans all the weight onto this leg. Okay? As she goes to backstep, you notice all the weight of her body transfers to this left leg. Okay? That's what I'm taking the advantage of here. So the second she goes to backstep, we strip the grip, and all in one motion, we fire up and over, and we sit our partner either down to her butt or at least down to her knee. And now when she's down to her knee, now we can start going into all of our transitions from outside Ashigarami. We can move back to an X guard from here. We can do all kinds of things where now we can go into a scoop scorpion, and we at least can have another transition instead of just getting on guard pass right away. Okay, so she's standing. The second she goes to back step, she V grips. I strip the grip, and as she goes to step, we fire the legs up and over, and now we're in an outside Ashigarami, either with her down on her hip or up on a knee. Either way, we can start to go into all of our attacks from here. Okay? And then once we're in, there's almost an endless amount of situations, possibilities that we can start to go into as far as attacks go. All right? From this angle, she goes to backstep, she gets to beat. We've looked at everything that we want to do from here. But she goes in, she goes to backstep right away. I strip the grip and fire up and over, and now we're ready to go into all of our attacks from an outside Ashigarami. Right, so now we're going to look at countering a full backstep. We have a full X guard with a scoop grip. Okay, so now this time, it doesn't really make sense for me to go from a full scoop and try to enter into outside Ashigarami, because now I create a lot of back exposure here. Right? So what I'm going to look to do instead is we have an initial X guard. My partner goes to V grip, and she goes to backstep. We initially clear the grip just like before. Now the key again is that my knee stays inside her two knees. If her knee beats me, and now she's all the way past my hip line, she's winning this battle from here. So the second I go to strip this grip, I immediately take my foot from the pocket of my partner's far hip to the pocket of my partner's near hip. Now from here, we're going to swing our leg all the way up and over and catch inside of our partner's far leg. So now we have a scissor and an X controlling both of our partner's legs from here. All right. So now we have control of both of our partner's legs. So now there's no back exposure. Now, as my partner goes to move around from here, goes to flee the mat, goes to get back on top of me, all those things become very difficult because of the position of my legs. And now from here, we can take our partner's foot across, we can lock up, and now wherever she goes, I can easily come in, I can lock my legs, and we can finish either a 50-50 when she goes to rotate, or as she goes to turn back over, same way. We can feed our legs to the inside and finish a more dominant cross Ashigarami. Okay, so this time, we start with the full X guard. in this angle one more time. We go far hip with the top foot. She goes to back step. I strip the grip, and now we go near hip. Now from here, we hit a big pendulum where we come up and over. Okay? It looks pretty athletic. It's really not. I'm just asking you to take your lower back off the floor. It's easy to take your lower back off the floor with the momentum of the swing and by using a pulling of your knee to your chest with the shoelace hooked into your partner's hips. Okay? All the action in my right leg is taking my back off the floor. In combination with the pendulum, it comes up nice and easily. Now from here, we catch a scoop. We go over our partner's leg with the second hand. So we go full Dracula. As Dracula sleeps like so. We have a scoop with one hand, and then we catch over the calf muscle with the opposite hand. When she goes to flee the mat from here, even before my leg's locked in, it's a hard thing to do. The leg comes in right away and catches. Now my partner goes to flee, it's almost impossible. When she goes to face me, it's also impossible. And now we can feed the leg across, come in, and now wherever she goes, we can easily follow through and get our break for the win. Okay? In addition, if you feel like that's too advanced, you're not flexible enough to do that, whatever the case is, you feel like I'm just never going to do that move. As she goes to back step, just strip the grip, and now from here, just take your leg and high leg over and lock a scissor guard. Or now as she goes to move in either direction, we can follow briefly and take our legs back to center. Right? So if you're never going to do that, you're not going to invert and go right into attacks again. Okay, again, our whole goal is to go from defensive cycles into offensive cycles. So she goes to pass my guard, and then I recover right into an attack. But if you're not going to do that, a very simple way of stopping this is as she goes to step back, we just fire the leg up and over and catch. And now from here, as she goes to move, pass my guard, easily reset and go back into all of our attacks. Okay, so two great ways to go into a defense from full X guard. One is more basic; you're kind of just re-guarding, and then choosing what you're going to do next. And the second is going right into an attack off of her back step. All right, so now we're just going to finish off by recapping X guard. As we talked about, we're going to move to a Shiro X next. As we talked about, X guard is a very strong guard that you can be playing because you control both of your partner's legs. Right? Whenever you control both of your partner's legs, with any form of double trouble, it's very annoying for your partner to deal with. Not being able to move their legs the way that they want to and keep balance is very frustrating. When we have an X guard, like we talked about, we have the choice of playing with an Ashi X and a full X guard with a scoop. Making sure that we use a full scoop, we always get our partner's ankle up and over our shoulder like so. Whenever we're looking to switch to a form of single leg control, whether it be an ashigarami, outside ashigarami, we always look to use an Achilles grip to prevent our partner from taking our back. Whenever we look to use forms of double leg control, X guard, reverse X guard, we can use either an Achilles grip or a scoop grip. Both are fine and don't make a difference because there's almost no back exposure because you have control of both of your partner's legs. Okay? We're always looking to play a combination with X guard of pulling and pushing. Right? We have sweeps where we initially put our partner's hands down to the ground and we look to start heisting up. Okay? Now we can either heist from here or we take our shoelaces in our partner's far hip, and now we can start building up like so. We looked at having our partner's knee on the floor and posting on the calf muscle. This is a much more robust way of heisting up into a sweep than just pushing your partner's legs out and away from you. All right, if my partner's just standing, it's not, you see it sometimes, but it's very hard against high-level people to just push the legs forward and come up. If I just push my partner forward, what you see a lot of times is they just push back into you, and you end up back here. which is great because we have to have that pull-push action. You push, then as they go to push back into you, you make a switch, and now you're right into reverse X guard and putting your partner up into a cross hashigurami situation. So the pull-push relationship is a very big deal from here. Okay, if for example my partner's knees on the floor, and I post, as I start to build height, if she goes to push back into me, she pushes on the floor, that's perfect. As she goes to crowd me, I can start elevating my partner. Okay, so this is something that we haven't talked about, but it's very important when we're recapping the position, is the relationship between pulling and pushing. You always want to threaten a sweep by coming forward from whatever position, and then as she goes to push back into you and crowd you, now we're coming in, and we can start to go into exercises on our partner's legs. Or we start to go push out and away, our partner feels like she's getting swept, she goes to turn away from me. Now we go into our partner's legs and start going in for attacks with heel hooks. Okay, so the pull-push relation is something that's very important when we're speaking about X guard. Whenever we go to push, you can always expect a push-back reaction to avoid a sweep. That's exactly when you go into the rest of your attacks. As well as being able to split your partner's legs and keep hands off of your ankles. If her hands can reach your ankles, this is no good. So the directionality of force is very different than what you're always taught, where it's just pushing straight out along the center line. It's always pushing to corners. I push to the corner and put weight in her hands. When I pull to the corner. I get her leg up and over, and now she's weightless, where we can go through. So it's not linear like everyone talks about. When we're talking, it's mostly one corner to the other, so our legs are working in that X fashion. I don't just lock X guard and push straight out in this direction. It's always this motion. Always pushing, pulling, like so. Okay? It's very rarely just straight out and away, or straight forwards and backwards. You're most of the time working towards corners to get your partner off balance. Even when I look to start to elevate my partner from a reverse X guard, I pull the knees in, but I always create an angle so that I'm pointing towards a corner. And that's what we're looking for when we go into all these attacks. Okay? So we have, very important, the relationship between a pull and a push, where we threaten sweeps to get our partner to start pushing back into us, or obviously accept a sweep, and working with correct directionality of force to always keep our partner's hands off of our ankles and stop her from just immediately backstepping. All right, so now you've kind of recapped X guard. Let's talk about moving into Oshiro X guard, okay? Rear facing X guard. So we have an opponent who's above us with an X guard, a full X guard in place. They want to make a transition to an Oshiro X guard to start exposing our partner's back or what have you from here, right? From this position, we're going to look to take our partner's hands to the floor once again, like so. And once I put our partner's hands on the floor, we're going to look to make that same transition we just looked at with a grip on the heel and 2 V-grips, but this time from a standing position. So we come in and we catch 1, 2. In this particular situation, our partner has a much more, very capable of exploding away from us, okay, because she's standing. So she can have create a lot more explosive energy through the floor and try to rip her foot out and away from it. So what I have to make sure of is that I use my head as an additional wedge against my partner's shoelaces. So I catch my partner's heel, 1, and then I wedge my head against my partner's shoelaces. So now when she goes to pull out, it's difficult. Now we come in and we catch. When she goes to pull away now, again, it's difficult. Now we switch to a V grip. When she goes to pull out a third time, difficult. And now from here, we switch to a second V grip. Now, the chances now of her pulling out and away from me with the 2 V grips with my elbows closed is very small. When we're here, we don't have to worry about our partner moving into a half guard and crushing us because of our leg positioning. Okay, even if she pulls her heel to her butt, we're not really crushed from here. Okay, we're still in a good position to go into attacks because we have the inside real estate with the legs. The big concern from here is that our partner is going to be pulling away from us. If you look at the previous segment with the scoop scorpion, we had a flared elbow, our elbow flared out like so our partner couldn't pull her heel to her butt. So we're going to have to do a knee. We had an open elbow. So now when she goes to pull the heel down to the knee or down to the butt, it's impossible. If my elbow was closed and she went to go pull the heel down, it bows my hand out outside the elbow, and it's easy for her to pull her heel down. But when she's standing up in X guard, she's not looking to crush me into a half guard position. Okay? She's looking to pull away from me. So instead of having a flared elbow to prevent her heel coming to her butt, we have a closed elbow to prevent her pulling away from me. So when she goes to run away, it's difficult. If my elbows are flared and she goes to pull away, she'll pull out her leg out every time. So we take 2 V grips this time, but instead of having open elbows to prevent her heel coming to her butt, we've closed elbows to prevent a different problem, which is her running out and away from me. Now as she goes to move away, it's almost impossible. We lift and make a transition now to Oshiro X guard, where now we can play either with, again, a scoop here, or we can come through and lock an Achilles grip. Okay? So once again, we have an opponent standing above us. Let's switch angles. We have an opponent standing above us. We come in, we have a scoop with X guard. We come through, we put our hands on the floor, we catch the heel, and we glue her shoelaces to my head. Now from here, we come in, we catch initially the heel, and then we switch to a V grip. Now as she goes to pull away, the heel locks her in place. Now I switch to 2 V grips with closed elbows when she goes to pull away now. Again, I have that initial stickiness, and now from here, we can make a pass off to Oshiro X and play in right from this position here. Okay? That's very important that we don't use an open elbow like we did before. We come in 1, we switch. Now we grab the heel. Now we go V grip, 2 V grips, closed elbows, and now she goes to pull away from me. It's very easy to make a switch to the opposite side with Oshiro X guard. All right, so now we're looking at a scissor sweep from Oshiro X. All right, so this time we have an opponent standing up and above me. We have Oshiro X guard like so. Now, let's first look at what our opponent's goals are from here. All right, she wants to stand up, and this time she doesn't really want to back step from here, because if she goes to move this leg back and around, she comes right into a crab ride position where now I can easily sit her down to the floor and create back exposure. So what everyone wants to do is they want to hit a forward step where they push this ankle down and now step forwards and around and start to go into passing to north-south. Okay? So I have to make sure I keep her hand off my top ankle this time. All right? If she posts a bottom ankle, when she goes to forward step, she can't because this leg blocks her. The only way she can go is backwards, and that gets me back exposure. So she's looking to forward step this time, not backward step. All right? So we come through, and we lock in. Now, from here, we're going to look to start to look at where our partner's shoulders are relative to her hips. If her shoulders are forward, it's going to be difficult to sit my partner back down in this direction with a basic scissor sweep. But for now, we'll have our partner standing up, upright, very basic, and we'll just go into our basic scissor sweep from here. So we put our partner's hands down to the floor initially, same directionality of force as before, and as she goes to stand up, we just drop our ankle down like so. And now from here, as she goes to stand, we pull one leg in this direction, and then we again pull the same direction that her toes point, and we sit her down to the floor. The good news is, because her leg's on the opposite side now, we switch right to have a strong scoop grip here, and now we have the choice of coming up into a leg drag, or throwing our legs across for a cross hashigurami situation, where now we can go into our partner's legs. So we have a lot of good follow-up attacks from there. So we're in Oshiro X, either with, again, a scoop grip, we can go above the knee, or an Achilles grip. Both work really well. We put our hands on the floor, she goes to get up, and we drop. Now, the second I see her shoulders coming up above her hips, I immediately start to scissor my legs, and I pull her foot out in the direction the toes point, then we sit her down to the floor. And now from here, we can either, if we have a scoop grip, go into our partner's legs or move to a leg drag, or an Achilles grip, where we can again enter into our partner's legs, or move up to a leg drag, look to start passing our partner right off that transition. Okay, so that's a basic scissor sweep once again, this time from Oshiro X guard. All right, so now let's start looking into how to sweep our partner when our partner stays with the hands on the ground. All right, because just as we spoke about in frontward facing X guard and a rearward facing X guard, whether we're with a full scoop or an Achilles grip, when I put my partner's hands on the floor, what she'll start to look to do is to create a weightless hand and then post on the top ankle, step forwards, and now as she goes to turn to face me, now we have a real issue. She's all the way past my shoulder line and she's, about to start passing my guard from here. All right? So from this position, my partner leans forward and looks to start posting on the top ankle. From here, what we're going to look to start doing is we're going to look to switch our two legs. So she goes to the top ankle. We're going to switch where we come in and we take a grip in like so. Now, my partner can start to step forwards from here. That's okay. From this position, what I'm going to look to start doing is I'm going to start to look to bump my partner backwards with my left knee and use almost like a kicking action with my right foot to knock my partner's foot out from underneath her. If she forward steps, we're going to go into what to do after this from there. But for right now, we're just going to lock in one. And now from here, we're going to start to lift and pull everything towards me, like so, to create a weightless leg. And we're going to look to close our knee in this direction back towards that wall. So that all in one motion, we get her start to move, and then we just kick and sit our partner down to the floor. For now, from here, we have that Achilles where we can start to go into all of our attacks right from there. Okay? So we get our partner to Oshiro X. And now, from this position, we're going to switch our legs. So she goes to access my ankle. We make a switch. Now from here, all in one motion, we use a pendulum to start lifting my partner's far leg. And we get everything moving back towards the wall. We just catch. And now from here, as we catch, we close. So we scissor the legs. This knee pushes in that direction. As I push her foot out from underneath her, we knock our partner back down towards the floor. Where we come through. Now we're ready to go and scoop and go into all of our either leg drags or cross hashigurami entrances. So we come through. We enter into Oshiro X guard, however it may be. And now we're in position. Now, as my partner goes to post, top leg, push my leg down, we go in and we switch. Now, from here, all in one motion, we're going to catch, bump with the knee, and knock our partner down in this direction. And then from here, we come forwards. We go into all of our attacks positionally or with submissions right from there. All right, so now it's talking about what happens when our partner actually does forward step. All right, so she clears the top ankle and she steps around. So she's in Oshiro X. She beats me by pushing the ankle down. And now she steps around like so. Okay? Whenever I see this, okay, like we spoke about before, it's in her best interest to always step forwards in this direction. Okay, she can push the bottom ankle down and try to take a backward step and spin all the way around and pass from there. But she does create a good amount of back exposure when she goes to push that ankle down. As she goes to back step, I can just block with my two hands, and now we can start to create real back exposure from there. So it's not usually best in her interest. So knowing that she always, for the most part, wants to step forwards, we have to look at what our grips of the arms are. Okay? If I have a scoop grip, like so, and she goes to step forwards and away from me, go ahead. As she goes to step forward, we just take a hand inside of our partner's hamstring, and
We look to use this to concave our shoulders to take as much of our back as possible off the floor and just follow our partner around the best we can and try to create back exposure. Best case scenario, you get back exposure. Worst case scenario, you feel like you can't get inside the far leg. She goes to face you. Now you're back in open guard, ready to play. Okay? So we feel like we have a scoop on our partner like so. We haven't transitioned to an Achilles from the initial pass. She goes a step forwards. What I try my best to do is to follow her to get to her far leg once again. Okay? She has to clear this hook from inside the pocket of her hip. I want to recapture that hook. So as she goes to move, I push myself on her hamstring. We look to lock in and pull ourselves back to where we came from. And now we're in ready to go. Where now we can look to switch back to various forms of Oshiro X and start to put our partner's butt down to the floor once again, or go for our partner's back right from the beginning. If our partner passes us this time, and instead of having a scoop grip, we have an Achilles grip. As she goes to step forwards, we're going to take a grip on our partner's knee like so, and we're just going to fire our legs in to an Ashigarami here. Once I catch, my goal is to take my outside leg and connect it to the back of my partner's far hamstring. So we initially throw our legs up, and we catch. Now, we use an extension of our bottom leg to pull our hips off the floor and lace our two legs through. Now, it's essentially like in high school when you have your buddy standing up and you put a person behind his back and you push him backwards. It's the same kind of deal. We have two legs controlled and our heels are relatively are on the same line relatively. So now from here, as she goes to stop me from knocking her backwards, we just point the right knee and sit our partner down to the floor for the win. Okay. So we come in, and this time we have an Achilles grip. We switch the leg over from X guard to Oshiro X to Oshiro Ashi X, and we have an Achilles grip. She goes to step forward. Now from here, we just throw our legs into place. So we grab the knee and just fire our legs up and over. Now I don't just reach with my right foot. It'll never work. I extend my bottom leg into her far hamstring and bring my hips off the floor. If my hips are on the floor and facing towards the ceiling, you're never going to be able to reach. It's impossible from here. So I invert my left knee down towards the floor by extending my left leg, and that brings my foot into place. Now, as she goes to flee the mat or try to move away from me, it's impossible. And now her heels are relatively aligned. So it makes it easy now for me to just point my knees and sit her down to the floor for the win with a cross Ashigarami. So if she has a scoop grip, we try to chase the back or just regard if we have a scoop grip. If we have an Achilles grip, then we always can go in and enter our partner's legs right away the second she goes to step forwards and around to dorsal. All right, so now we're going to look at how to enter into cross Ashigarami on our partner's far leg from Oshiro X. Okay, just as from X guard, we can enter into our partner's far leg. We can also enter into cross Ashigarami from Oshiro X into our partner's far leg as well. So we're in here. We get our partner's leg to the opposite side of our head, and we're in Oshiro X guard. We put our partner's hands down to the floor. Okay. Now, once our partner's hands are down on the floor, we're actually going to switch to Oshiro reverse X guard. Okay, I know this sounds complicated. All right, we have an initial X guard. Okay, same as if our partner's had her leg on the opposite side. And just as we switch to reverse X guard, we're going to do the same thing, but with the leg on this side of my head. Okay, so we come in, we have everything in place, and now we make a switch where we look to switch our legs top and bottom. This time, we're trying to prevent a forward step. Stand up. If my partner's leg is on the opposite side, like so, we're trying to prevent the back step. So we put tension with the left leg, the bottom leg, and then we can come out and switch to reverse X. So as she goes to back step from here, it's difficult. When we're trying to go from an X guard to a reverse X, when we have an Oshiro position, now we're trying to prevent the forward step. So instead of putting tension with the left leg, the bottom leg in this case, and extracting the right leg, the top leg, now if I put tension, she just steps forward and it aids her in the ability to step forward. So instead of keeping tension with the bottom leg, I have to keep tension with the top leg. So now as she goes to step forward, the left leg comes out, and then I shoot the left leg in, and the right leg slides down. And now we're in position to go from reverse Oshiro X guard into cross Hashigurami. Now once again, we play this game where we're pulling and pushing, where we look to start sitting our partner up. And now from here, as she goes to come back into me, we pull the knees up and over the chest. Right? If I go to pull the knees up and over the chest and she sags away from me, where I feel like I can't pull my partner in, that's fine. Now we just come in and we start threatening to sit our partner up and sweep our partner. And she has no choice now but to move back into me. As I go to push, she goes to push back in. We pull the knees up and over the chest. And again, we get our tailbone pointing towards our partner's far armpit. Once again, we shoot our bottom leg through. We lock up. And now we're in position, ready to go through for the win. Okay? So we lock Oshiro X guard. We get our partner's hands down to the ground, like so. And now from here, we look to switch. Instead of putting tension with the bottom leg, we put tension with the top leg because we're trying to prevent a forward step. So instead, we put tension with the top leg, the bottom leg comes out, and then we just shoot and slide. And now we're in. Now we threaten a forward shift to get her pushing back into me. As she pushes back, we bring the knees to the chest, and we shoot our tailbone to point towards our partner's far armpit. Now, as we raise our hips, we get the right knee behind the hamstring, and we pull as a back heel with the left leg. We catch, we sit our partner down, now we're ready to come in, or start heisting up and going into all of our passes right from there. So entering into cross Hashigurami on our partner's far leg from reverse Oshiro X guard. So now let's take a look at one of the most common reactions when we switch to Oshiro X guard, which is my opponent dropping to two knees. When we looked at X guard, we had an opponent who was standing, and then we had an opponent that was on two knees where we either forced them down to two knees or they dropped down to two knees. Okay, so we're in an X guard, which is a typical X. Most people play from here. We try to put their hands on the floor, and then we also looked at when we put their knee on the floor. Okay, we looked at what we can do from here. Okay, now we looked at a transition where I physically put her knee on the floor, but once you enter into X guard, a lot of times people just willingly drop down to this position. Okay, where we have to play from here. Where now we can look to either feed to Oshiro X or come up or enter into legs, whatever the case may be. Now we're going to look at Oshiro X. When we have an opponent drop down to two knees, we're going to look to come up and start entering into my partner's legs. As soon as I switch to Oshiro X, if I want to enter into my partner's legs, we're immediately going to, once again, take an Achilles grip on my partner like so. And now we're going to look to start coming up and over. This is essentially the same thing that we just did from a scorpion from before, right? But it's just doing it from a different setup now, right? So instead of passing our partner's leg over after she hits a knee, we start where she's standing in an X guard. We get her hands to the floor. And now, instead of putting her to a knee first and passing the leg over, we make a pass off from here. 1, 2. We make a pass, and now my partner's worried about me coming through and getting to a crab ride, which is what we're going to do in a second. So instead, what she does is she drops down to her knees right away. The second I see this, we immediately switch from a scoop to an Achilles grip. Now I have to make sure again that my partner can't just whip the leg back around in a position where she's not really passing from here, but I lost the position altogether. So what I want to make sure of is that we catch one, we V-grip. Now, as she goes to pull that leg away from me, it's not an easy task. We take the hand through, and we lock an Achilles grip. Now from here, we're going to forward shift by pulling our knees to our chest and then just sitting up like so. We take our right leg out, we fire up and over, and again, we put weight on our partner's far leg. And now from here, everything remains the same where we roll through and enter into cross Hashigurami on our partner. All right, so Same move, just a different setup this time. Previously, we were looking to put our partner's knee down to the floor and then either switch to a scorpion, usually first, then pass the leg over. This time, we're passing right to Oshiro X, and our partner's giving us a different reaction. We come in, we catch, 1, 2, 3, we pass, and now she drops to a knee. So we come in, we lock up, we take the hand through, and we catch. Now from here, we extend the left leg, we grab a false grip, we take our hip off the floor, we fire, right leg up and over, or now we're in cross hashigurami, and we're ready to roll our partner through and get to a top either pin or attacking the legs from top position. So now, very similar to before, again, I'm just trying to make that mental connection between putting a knee in the floor from X guard, switching to a scoop scorpion, and then transferring the leg over. I want to make that connection from the scorpion to Oshiro X because they're very similar. All right. So this time, just as we talked about, moving from a scorpion, knee in the floor, moving from a scorpion to looking to come up and attack our partner's back, where we come through here. We lock a scorpion. And now we look to come up and take our partner's back. It's very similar from Oshiro X. Like I talked about before, we can even, if our partner's knees are spread, you can pommel our leg behind. It's very similar from here, all right? Except this position is Oshiro X, okay? So we initially looked at a scorpion before, and now we're just gonna go right to Oshiro X. She drops to a knee. And now we're right in Oshiro X, and we skip the whole scorpion portion. From this position, we once again control my partner's leg. As she goes to pull out and away, it's difficult. And now we're going to switch to an Achilles, and now it doesn't matter if she goes to pull away. The second I go to sit up, if I get to my partner's far hip, nothing matters now. As she goes to run away from me, she pulls me up. Now she doesn't have to worry about, I don't have to worry about my leg being exposed here because my ankle's on the inside position relative to the back of her hamstring. So there's no leg attacks for her now. So as she goes to pull me up, I just pendulum with my right leg. I pull myself up. Now we're ready to go into our turtle attacks right from here. Once again. Okay, so we start with an Oshiro X. My partner drops down to her knees. Down to her knees. And now, instead of being in a scorpion and passing the leg over and having to worry about her attacking my legs and inverting the knee, now we're just in here. Like so. So now our legs are in the inside position. Now we catch, we V-grip. As she goes to pull away, it's difficult. So we switch to an Achilles. And now, even if she goes to pull away, it doesn't matter. I come up and I catch the far hip. Now my legs are hidden, and as she goes to pull away, that will pull me up into a position where now I can create a 2-on-1 on my partner's leg, go in, and lock all of our various different grips to go into attacks on our partner's back from turtle position. Okay? So there's that connection there between playing a scorpion and passing the leg across and doing transitions, and going to Oshiro X from the beginning when my partner's still standing and having them give a reaction when they drop down to a knee and try to defend from there. They're very similar positions, and you can play both together. You can go scorpion with the leg on either side, and you can play X guard or Oshiro X guard, depending on what reactions your partner gives you, and you can feed into all of them as one. Okay, so if you're good at X guard, you have to be good at scoop scorpion grips. If you're good at X guard and scoop scorpion, you have to be good at Oshiro X guard because they all play as one system. And then of course you have to be good at an Ashigurami base game where you play Ashigurami variations, X guard variations, scoop scorpion variations, and Oshiro X variations. So now let's look at Oshiro X guard into creating back attacks on my partner with crab ride. Now I've mentioned before that I generally prefer to use Oshiro X guard to attack the back and come up and chase turtle position, but people do like to attack crab ride as well, so I'll throw that in there just for you guys. All right, so my big issue with the crab ride is that, if I get in here and I get to both my partner's hips, if I go to extend my partner out and away, she can grab my two heels, like so, and that's hard for me to off-balance my partner. Now, if she pulls one of my legs through, now she's into attacks on my legs, or now she can V-grip my right foot, take her foot to the inside, and now she's in on leg attacks on me, and this is no good from here. Okay? That's my issue with crab riders. The second my partner goes to start off balancing me from there, I can just squat and catch. Now when she goes to move me around, it's not an easy thing from here. Okay? And now from here, if I can come through and start catching my partner's ankles, when she goes to take my back, when she goes to extend, that leg pulls through. Now all I have to do is step my second leg to the inside of her two legs, and now she's in a world of trouble where I can fall to either side and start going into attacks. All right? So that's the big risk associated with playing crab ride. But nonetheless, it can be effective. So we come through, she drops down to a knee from Oshiro X. She drops down to a knee. From here, we're going to come up and over our partner's leg like so, and we don't switch to a full Achilles. All right? All we're going to look to do is we're going to look to get our left knee behind our partner's hamstring by creating a knee-elbow connection with my left elbow and my left leg. Here. So that my X guard comes out, and now I have 2 feet in the same position behind both my partner's legs. Like so. Now I have both my partner's hips controlled, I have both my partner's legs controlled, and now it's her choice. If she goes to stand up and push back into me, now I pull my partner towards me before she can get to my ankles and sit my partner forwards. Just stand and squat. If she goes to run forwards away from me, now I just tuck the leg in. As she goes to run away, I come up, and now I'm on her back. Okay, so she has two choices. She can move away from me and create back exposure, or she can move towards me and create back exposure. So we come through Oshiro X. She drops down to a knee. All I'm going to look to do is I take a false grip over my partner's hamstring, like so. Now, from here, as she goes to run away from me, that's exactly what I want, because her leg goes to move away, my leg comes through. Now we come into position, and we get 2 sticky hooks behind our partner's hamstrings, and we reach up and we catch our partner's hips. If she goes to sit back towards me, we extend our legs and we sit our partner forwards. Okay? That one's pretty simple. It's just an extension of my 2 legs while I pull my partner's hips. And then we go in, and now we can attack our partner's back. If, on the other hand, I get in here and she's down low, she goes to run and scramble forwards. As she goes to pull away, I just tuck one leg underneath me, like I'm doing a technical get up. And now as she goes to run away from me, I'm anchored onto my partner's hips, and we can easily follow her up to create back exposure and then attack from turtle. All right, so one more time. We're in. We go Oshiro X. She drops. The second she drops, we immediately switch our leg positioning to here. And now, wherever she goes, I can always follow. If, for example, she chooses, I'm not going to give back exposure, I'm just going to fall down and accept a sweep. Whenever I see this, just fall down to this hip. Whenever I see this, we just come through, and now we pommel our legs back to the same position that we were just in Oshiro X. So I don't want to have my leg pulled through here and create leg exposure. So I pommel my foot behind my partner's thigh, like so. Now you move up, and you're in a leg drag. Okay? So we're going to look a little bit more at that. We play the trilemma between the back exposure, the leg attacks, and the guard passes. So I feel like I get behind my partner. This time she feels, okay, he's going to take my back, let me just fall over. The second I see her fall, I immediately pommel my leg from between hers to behind her 2 legs. Now she goes to open her knees in re-guard. She moves right into a guard pass. And you've effectively outflanked your partner, got a sweep and passed. All right, we're going to talk about that more in 1 second. So now let's put all this together. All right, this is basically a recap of Oshiro X. Whenever we're playing Oshiro X guard, we're playing a trilemma of
getting on top of our partner, taking our partner's back, or breaking our partner's legs. Okay, so when we're in a Shiro X guard, we have our partner on top of us. She has a leg on this side. She drops to a knee, for example, to prevent me taking her back right away. And now we're playing a game from here. All right, we try to come on top. If she doesn't let me come on top, she goes to push back towards me. We enter into our partner's legs. Okay, if I feel like she goes to run away from me and everything slips out, we can move to a crab ride where we come through, and now we can come up, start to take our partner's back. All right, so we have leg locks there, we have back attacks there. Let's say from here, she just tries to roll and not allow me to take her back by just putting her back on the floor. Whenever I see that, I just immediately pommel my foot from the inside back to that X guard position, where now my 2 feet are having the X inside. Now my partner is never going to keep her 2 legs together. Right now my knees inside. If she stays with her knees together, then I just drive my legs across and leg ride my partner and easily pass her guard. So what everyone does is they open the knee to try to face you, and that gives you the inside knee positioning. And now from here, I come forward and I pass my partner's guard. If, for example, your partner starts to push you away with the hands and the knee manages to invert and start facing towards you, and she starts creating space, then I fall back. Now we're ready to go back in and attack our partner's legs. All right? So no matter what your partner does, you always have back exposure, leg attack exposure, and guard passing exposure if she denies you the legs and the back at the same time. And she just falls over, puts her back on the floor, brings her knees to her chest, then you just go in and pass the guard right away. All right, as soon as you get on top. But there's always that working trilemma there when we have a partner on 2 knees, a leg across, with an Shiro X. Right, from here, we come through, we move to crab ride. And now, if she goes to stand up and push back towards me, we have back exposure. If she goes to fall down and deny me the ability to start coming up to her back, she throws her back to the floor wildly. We just put our foot to the inside, crush the 2 knees together, which will allow me to start leg riding and easily passing to mount. As she goes to open up those knees, that gives me the inside leg position, inside knee positioning. Now we come forward and we move to a leg drag where we pass our partner. If she denies me this, she starts pushing away, then we just fall back, we cover our partner's leg, and now from here we throw our legs through. Now we're ready to go into attacks in here, or we can start heisting up. And as you all know, doing all of our guard passing right from there as well. There's almost an endless amount of opportunities that we can play with from Shiro X. All right, so now let's talk about just a simple heist to top position, okay? Let's say you tried everything, your partner's doing a great job of defending, you can't get the crab ride, you can't scissor them down, you can't throw your leg across Hashigurami, you tried everything and you just feel like nothing's working, all right? So let's say your partner dropped to the knees, or let's say your partner stays standing from Shiro X, you try to knock your partner down with a scissor, that's not working. She drops to a knee, now you try to start putting a foot to the bottom, or to behind her hamstring, you start trying to throw the leg over. She does a good job of blocking with her hand. You can't get the leg over, you can't go in and throw this leg over because she's windshield wipering the leg off. I try to come up and get to the far hip, and as I do that, she tries to sit down to her hip, for example, and as I go to get up, she goes to get back up on top of me, and I feel like I just can't do anything, or she's not really doing anything offensively or anything to escape, but just being really annoying and really well balanced. And I just feel like I can't enter into attacks on her back. I can't get to the far hip, and I just feel like I'm stuck from here. Whenever you feel this, just heist, okay? Because you've outflanked your partner essentially, and you have both legs in the same side of the body, and you have the ability to keep your partner's movement to a minimum because she's down on the knee, you can easily get up from here. So whenever I see this, I'm just going to post a foot on my back of my partner's calf muscle. Now, I use a grip on my partner's thigh to pull myself up, all right? So that from here, either she's pushing into me, it's pretty easy for me to sit up and start getting up. And if I have to relinquish the Achilles, I just move to a grip here on my partner's ankle. Okay, so now I have a strong elbow post. Now, from this position, as we both go to get up, because her knee's on the floor, as we both go to stand, she physically can't
bring her knee off the floor. As she goes, get up, get up. It's very, very difficult from here. And now from here, as I go to height, I just lift the leg, and now you're in a winning position. Now, as you both go to get up once again, if she goes to run away from you, you get back exposure. If she faces you, then you flip the foot out and sit your partner down for the win. Okay? So if you feel like you're just in a situation where nothing has happened and you're getting fed up with it, you try to throw the leg up and over, your partner blocks with the hand. You try to reach to the far hip, your partner moves away, and then as you go to get up, your partner pushes back towards you. And you feel like you just are in this annoying situation where your partner is not doing anything to actually get out, but you can't do anything to create any kind of offense from here. Whenever I see this, I just immediately grab my partner's inner thigh like so, and I use this to start sitting up. Okay? Now you can use this method where you can physically pull yourself up, like so, where I don't actually move my partner. I just latch on, I pull myself up, and I move to an elbow and the grip of my partner's Achilles. That's a good method. Or we can use a forward shifting method where I pull from an X-guard situation. I pull my knees to my chest first, and then I forward shift, and I sit up to an elbow. Both are very good. All right? So we have one method where we catch, we pull, and we sit. When she goes to pull this leg away from me, it's locked in place, even though you don't have an Achilles. Or a forward shifting method where we pull and we shift up. Okay, both are very good. Now from here, we post, like before, on the back of my partner's calf muscle. And now I just heist up to a knee. When we both go to get up, it's almost like a joke. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. She can't move at all. And now from here, as she goes to beat me, we just build up to our feet. She goes to run away, there's back exposure. She faces me, and sit her partner down to the floor and start all of our usual passing right from there. Right? So when in doubt, if you feel like your partner's playing a very negative game, you can't enter the legs, you can't get to a crab ride, you can't get to the far hip, you just step on the calf and get up.